Every single business, I don't care if it's your local coffee shop or a huge global company, is basically sailing on the same economic ocean. And just like the ocean, the economy has its own weather system. It can mean sunny days and smooth sailing, or it can whip up a sudden storm. The trick is learning how to read the forecast.
So, let's start with a question that might sound a little weird. What on earth do big, boring things like interest rates have to do with your morning cup of coffee? Well, it turns out everything. The link is actually super direct. The interest rate affects how much it costs the shop owner to borrow money. Inflation impacts the price of their coffee beans. And your own feeling about the economy, your consumer confidence, well, that's what decides if you're going to buy that latte in the first place. See? It's all connected. And that's what we're going to untangle today.
All right, first up, let's talk about the forces right on your doorstep. Before we can even think about the global picture, we've got to get a grip on the local economic climate. This is the immediate weather system that businesses in your town, your city, are dealing with every single day.
Think of these as the 4 vital signs on a business's dashboard. Business owners are watching them constantly. Inflation? Well, that messes with their costs and what they have to charge you. Unemployment rates tell them how much spending money is floating around. Interest rates? That's all about the cost of growth and expansion. But that last one, consumer confidence, that might be the most powerful of all because it's about how people feel, and feelings drive spending.
And what's so fascinating about consumer confidence is how it takes a very human emotion, optimism or pessimism, and turns it into a hard number that can predict the future. It's that simple. When we feel good about our jobs and the economy, we spend. When we're worried, we save. And for any business, trying to guess which way that feeling is going to go is absolutely crucial.
And this just lays it out perfectly, the two sides of that coin. On the left, you've got a booming economy. It's a fantastic cycle, right? People have more money, they spend more, and businesses see profits go up. But then look at the right. In a recession, that whole thing slams into reverse. Spending just dries up, and that forces businesses to make really tough calls, cutting costs, slashing prices, and sometimes even letting people go. It's a really direct and sometimes brutal cause and effect.
Okay, so we've got the local forecast, but now we have to zoom out. Because in our world today, the economic weather is never just a local story. A storm that starts brewing on the other side of the planet can and will send ripples right to our shores. Which brings us to the global ripple effect.
This really says it all. No modern business is an island. Not anymore. You've got international supply chains, customers in other countries, currencies that go up and down. It adds this whole other layer of complexity. What happens in one country's economy can create huge challenges or, frankly, massive opportunities for a business half a world away.
And here's a perfect example to make this real. A giant like Toyota isn't just worried about selling cars in 1 or 2 countries. No way. They are watching the economic health of dozens of nations to figure out how many cars to make, where to send them, and what price to slap on the windshield. If things slow down in Europe, maybe they shift their focus to growing markets in Asia. It's a constant, high-stakes global balancing act.
Okay, now this is a concept that can feel a little backwards at first. I mean, we usually think a strong dollar or a strong euro has got to be a good thing, right? But not always, especially if you're trying to sell things to other countries. Just follow the chain here. If your currency gets stronger, your products suddenly get more expensive for everyone else. And that can make your competitor from a country with a weaker currency look like a much better deal.
So you've got these local pressures and you've got these global ripples. But what happens when everything hits the fan at once? Let's talk about how businesses survive a real storm by looking at a crisis that put pretty much every company on the planet through the ultimate test of resilience.
Right, the pandemic. It wasn't just a health crisis, was it? It was a full-blown economic hurricane. It hit everything at the same time. Supply, demand, consumer confidence, and it hit on a global scale. It forced every single company to adapt, pivot, or risk going under.
And this table just lays out the domino effects so clearly. Take a company like Apple. The global supply chain gets shattered. Well, they can't get the parts they need, so they have to totally rethink production. The economy gets shaky and people get nervous. They're facing a huge drop in sales for their expensive iPhones. So what do? They adapt. They introduce flexible work. They shift strategies. The point is, their survival depended entirely on their ability to react to these huge economic shocks in real time.
Okay, so we've looked at local forces, global ripples, and a massive real-world crisis. We've seen the theory, and we've seen it in practice. This brings us to the most important question of all. Why does any of this matter to you? How do we turn all this information into something useful?
And this is the absolute key takeaway.
Understanding the economy is not some academic exercise for people in ivory towers. It is a practical, powerful tool for making smarter decisions. Whether you're running a company, starting a new business, or honestly, even just managing your own career and finances.
Because at the end of the day, the goal is to build resilience. By keeping an eye on these trends, a business can stop being just a victim of the economic weather and start becoming a smart navigator. You can start to see changes coming before they hit, plan your response, and make informed choices that help you not just survive the storm, but maybe even find a way to thrive in it.
So I'll leave you with a final question to chew on. After everything we've talked about, if you were starting a brand new business today, right now, which one of these indicators, inflation, interest rates, consumer confidence, which one would you be obsessed with? Which one would you watch most closely? The answer says a lot about the kind of business you'd want to build.